Velkommen ombord. Welcome on board. Safety in English will follow. Skulle det oppstå en nødsituasjon, finnes livbelter under setene og i kasser på taket. Se oppslag om hvordan livvester tas på. På taket er også våre redningsbåter. Skulle det skje noe, ber vi publikum om å forholde seg rolig og følge mannskapenes instrukser.
My name is Nicolas Levy. I go by Nico most of the time. I am 41 years old. I was born in Nice, France, and I've lived in Oslo for 12 years now, since 2013. I started photography when I was, seriously, when I was 19. So it's been a bit over 20 years, and at some point in the middle of that, I got a degree from a photo school in Paris called Gobelin. I've been working in commercial photography and video for a very short time before I moved here in Norway. And these days I consider myself an artist. I only work for myself mostly. And I have a day job in a cafe to pay the bills. I started immediately back when I was 19, 20 with street photography. I really wanted to document the old town of Nice where I lived. All the characters in there, and it's very picturesque. And yeah, I didn't do any good with that. It's a very hard environment to shoot in, very big contrasts. But anyway, so I never had a phase where I photographed like steam trains or landscapes. I was always about people. When I went to school, it was a very commercial school. I learned to light in the studio. I learned still life, advertising. But that's also where I found a big love for portraits. And so these two big influences, the commercial side and the street side, kind of define my practice today. I take what I call documentary pictures, not streets. I could develop. But I have a very direct imaging style. From my influences in commercial photography, it's one product in the frame, one ID, one message. I really like photographers who can do foreground, background, like Alex Webb. I think they're brilliant. I can't do that. All my pictures like revolve around one very clear central subject and hopefully a nice environment. But I'm very punctum and studium, very Roland Barthes. That's me being French, I guess. Mm-hmm. Tak. Mamiya 7, yeah. 2. This is my second one of those. I really like them.
So why do you use a Mamiya or a large frame, medium format?
Yeah, this is 6x7. Yeah. And I've been using those since 2008 or 9. And back then film was cheap, so it was no-brainer. And it has gotten a bit more expensive over the years to shoot this, but I still manage.
So why do you use medium format in this project?
Part of it is just to kick my own ass. Like you get 10 frames. Sometimes if I'm in the flow, I get excited. I'll shoot 9 frames of the same subject. I still haven't internalized that I'm not shooting digital. So yeah, it's just to throw a stick into my own wheels and kind of make me try to challenge myself. Yeah.
So the slowing down is part of the process?
I don't think it slows me down, but at least I run out of film way earlier. So to be honest, I think it fits my terrible attention span. I've been ruined by the internet and cell phones and Instagram, and I don't know if I have it in me anymore to work like a demented person for 6 hours a day. So, I have the film that I can carry on me. Today I think I have 6 rolls, so after 60 frames I'm gonna be done. And yeah, it kind of fits with my attention span these days. I also like the idea of being really in the zone for a limited amount of time, rather than being kind of, walking around chasing butterflies all day, and I don't know if I'm gonna get one. But yeah, I don't think it has made me any more selective about what I shoot. I hear people say that a lot, and it doesn't work for me. Like the pictures when I'm unsure, and maybe I should save the frame and not shoot it, is the pictures I want to take, because these are the ones that have a potential to surprise me. If I'm certain the picture is going to be good, 9 times out of 10, it's okay. It's never going to be a mind-blowing picture because I could see it with my own eyes. But if there's a picture I'm not sure, should I take that? Is it really worth it? Then I make myself take it. And 99 times out of 100, those are bad. But the 100th one is something where the camera brings something that you didn't see. And then it's, wow, that's the picture. I definitely feel like I'm part of a certain family tree of photography, and to the exclusion of the others. The Scandinavian photographers, for example, J.H. Ekström, or I don't feel so much affinity with them. I don't feel like I'm descended from Japanese photographers either. Like everybody loves Daido Moriyama. I don't. Please don't DM me. So yeah, I do feel much more of an ancestry in Henri Cartier-Bresson and Robert Frank, and a certain European, if not French, vision of photography. Also, I was very influenced by American photographers early on, Eggleston, Sternfeld, Meyerowitz, for their use of color. As of 2025, I don't shoot color anymore, because I feel like I took it to a point where my pictures were about color, to the exclusion of a story or a character. So I felt like a snake biting its own tail. Like, I take color photographs to show colors. So I took a step back from that. Luckily I can, because I'm my own boss. So as of today, I just do black and white. And I've kind of like tried to put distance to the American influence. And I find more and more things to like in Henri Cartier-Bresson, Robert Doisneau, who I always thought was old-fashioned and cliché, but in my old age, now that I have children of my own, I appreciate that picture of that kid on that bike or whatever. Harry Gruyère, a Belgian photographer, is someone who has been an influence for me from the start. I think one of his books was the first photo book I ever bought. And even though he is brilliant with color, and it was one of the main reasons I started in color, I still feel a lot of kinship to him, even though I shoot black and white. The more I listen to him speak in interviews, and he has this position of wanting to be an artist, not a magazine shooter, not a newsman, not an ad man. And yeah, if one can afford it, it's where I want to be. It's the most comfortable position. I can follow my own fancies and shoot something I care about. So there's a Swedish photographer called Anders Pettersson, and he has a fantastic book called Café Limits, which was the first Scandinavian photo book I bought when I moved here. And he made a whole book's worth of content in one bar that's just one room between 4 walls. I have since met Anders, and he told me that he calls this in his head 4-wall projects. He's also done an asylum for mentally ill people and a prison. So he has worked a lot in those closed space between 4 walls. And that's something that I really wanted to rub against. I really wanted to confront myself to that, because yeah, after 20 years in this like photography game, you've kind of like, I can't be left to my own device. Then I keep repeating the same work. So I found this ferry. I can't remember how exactly, if I took my kids here to the museum, my kids, just one, here to the museums, but it attracted me. And I had to go back a second time, and to go back a third time, and at that point I got the season card, and I realized this was going to be a project. There's 2 boats running that route, and I think I did the quick math that if you put them, if you consider the entire surface of both boats, you're still a little bit smaller than a tennis court. And I like that. It's a kind of a perverse idea that I could make a good art project over the area of a tennis court, and that it would not feel too repetitive, or that it would be like enlightening in some way. And yeah, of course, it has people at the center of it, and it's people having an experience. I said earlier that I have an elevator pitch for what I do, and that if I'm ever confronted or even in a friendly way asked to explain what I do, I can explain it very quickly. And the goal of photography for me, I'm trying to find how we transform time into an actual experience. And if I'm just walking to work, listening to a podcast, I'm just spending time. And if I'm sitting here on my phone, I'm just spending time. But those kids playing out there, they're having an experience. So when does time become an experience? That's what I'm all about. And I guess I recognize that on this ferry, people, the lucky ones, are having an experience. So it's a bit like shooting fish in a barrel, but I can go there every day, and I'm guaranteed to see at least one person having an experience, and then I can try to record that.
So how do you try to capture that experience on camera?
It's back to Cartier-Bresson. It's about, to me, it's about like the moment that sums up the situation. And of course, like photography is not a very honest medium, because we have so much power of over choosing that moment. And that's why I talk a lot about collaboration, even though this is like candid photography. But I let people, do what they're gonna do, and I try to pick the honest moment that matches their emotion. But I can also twist things a bit and match my emotion if I choose the moment, on my own terms. I use a very wide-angle lens, and if you put someone in the corner of a picture, on a wide-angle picture, they will always look isolated, because physically they are to the rest of the frame. So that's tricks like that is how I put my emotion into the work. But first and foremost, it's their emotion. That's what brings me to photograph them, and not their neighbor or somebody else. To me, it's really a collaboration. Like I kind of need people to know that I'm taking the picture, and so I'm not hiding, and I really think of it as a collaboration. I don't think they're pretending because they're on camera, but I give them the space to do something. Like the street photography that I hate is you find a nice wall with a nice shadow and you wait for somebody to walk, and I'm like, this is not a collaboration. You trapped them there and you didn't give them a chance to emote. But so in all my pictures, I see them as collaborations, and I need them to be doing something. Like they bring something. I can't make emotion with this. It's just a box with 4 corners, but they can make emotion if they look a certain way or have a certain face, So yeah, it's me and them in the picture. So it's always, I'm not meditating. Like I'm really present with them. We're really 2 people making those images. I think they don't care enough about me, I almost don't feel seen. Like in the end, I try to give them a wink, or sometimes I think thank you, and they don't reply. Like it doesn't figure in that day. It's kind of fun. A bit like the person who pours your coffee, you didn't see them. You got your coffee, the transaction is complete. Which is funny, because if anyone is using anyone, I'm using them, but I'm still the one who is left feeling I could have gotten more out of the exchange. It's weird. The hardest thing in this project to me is not to get complacent, because
What do you mean by that?
If I feel like I'm bringing back 2 good pictures from every trip, then obviously something is wrong. I'm not pushing myself hard enough, or I'm being complacent with calling something good when it's only just okay. I have like dozens of pictures in this project of people who are just looking at their phone under brilliant light, or have, in my modest capacity, made a good composition. So this is complacency, like I'm not reaching my goal. I'm not showing how time is transformed into experience. But those are seductive. You know, this boat is basically a big soft light around you, and so that's my biggest challenge, is to not get complacent and not just like churn out hundreds of pictures of people on their phone, but actually put myself in front of the people who are conveying something better.
So what have you learned during these 2 years you have done this?
So I started on this 4-wall project because I was hoping to find something grand and true about creativity, that if I put all those constraints, something new would come out. And yeah, what I'm starting to learn is that so far it's not really happening. Like I'm happy with my pictures, you know, they feel like my pictures, but they're still very standard street photography. Like I haven't found a brand new way of looking or showing. So that's what I've learned, is that maybe I'm not equipped to escape what this box does, this box with 4 corners.
Do you think that's a bad thing?
I think it's, without sounding like a French cliche, but it's turning into my life's work. I look into painters. Somebody like Jackson Pollock, he can go from an emotion here or here, wherever you think emotions come from, and he can put it on the canvas. And he doesn't have to turn it into words. He doesn't have to think about it. It's a direct transfer of emotion to surface. And other painters do it too, of course. And yeah, my question is, can I do this with photography? Can I get to a point where my emotion goes from here to the paper without being verbalized first or explainable? And the Russian photographer Titarenko, who did those pictures of Moscow, I think he reached that. There's emotion in those pictures that just works and gets from him to you without being verbalized. A few other photographers, I think, managed that. Eggleston probably. So yeah, I think it's my job as a photographer to get there. And
but how do you know yourself when you get there, since you are not the target audience?
That's a good point. I think what I used to think is creativity in photography was really problem solving. You know, if you move your camera slightly to get me in front of a cleaner background, you're problem solving. It's not really an emotion from your soul to the viewer. So when I'm out there with, like, I use this camera, this viewfinder that is not through the camera, that sees something that's quite different from what the lens sees. I'm doing that on purpose to, like, not catch myself problem solving. Like, I have a general understanding of which direction I'm shooting in, but I can't really fine-tune a composition in this. I use a prime, so I can't zoom in, zoom out, and adjust the framing. I use film, so I can't check my exposure after a picture and fix it. I try to photograph in, like, as direct a way as I can. I'll never be Jackson Pollock throwing paint on a canvas, but I can be much more direct with this than if I was using a digital camera and a zoom. So how do I know that I've succeeded or failed? Sometimes I'm out there shooting and I'll catch myself problem solving. I'll be like, oh, if I bend a little, I can get the horizon line through the window instead of just seeing the sea. And every time I catch myself doing that, I reset myself. I stop what I'm doing, I put a subject in the middle and I click, cock, and move on. And so as long as this keeps happening, I know I'm not in the zone where I'm, you know, directly throwing paint at the canvas. But yeah, maybe this is just me getting into my head about things.
So your approach is just to shoot and think later? Do you think that's a good...
I try to get out of my own way. But like I said, I have a background in commercial photography, so they beat you up pretty hard to think one way, and I'm trying to unlearn a lot every day. If you can unlearn one thing every day, you know, you're growing.
I think
So the captain was telling me he lives in Cuba in the winter when they don't run. That's a fun life.
Do you have any advice for people who want to go more into shooting projects instead of just?
Yes, my advice is do it. Really do it. And copy somebody else's idea. It doesn't matter. You know, the first person who wrote a love song does not own the concept of a love song. So if you like my ferry project, just do your own. Like nobody's mad, nobody's jealous. We all start covering, you know, if you learn an instrument, you start by covering other people's songs. So get started. And my mistake for years was thinking that a project has to be a huge idea that's going to change the world, you know, but you can't do war and peace with a camera, you know, you can do something a bit more modest, but that the camera is really well suited for. And I think once you start working in projects, that's when you start looking. Because if I go out with my camera on a day and I have no idea, all the photographers you and I know in Oslo, everybody uses the same variation of a Fuji film 24 megapixel, and we all have the same lenses. It was always like that. Back in film, everybody had Tri-X or Portra, like we all have the same tool. So if we go out without an idea and only take a picture when something is pleasant to look at, guaranteed you're only taking pictures that I've already made and that only look like pictures. Like I see that and it looks like a picture, so I make it into a picture. We're just like photocopying the same idea over and over again. And yeah, it's fun if it's meditative for you, and but if you have some ambition, if you want to do this on a level that will connect with people and that a part of you will be in it, I really recommend doing projects, because if you know your project is about joy in public, you're gonna start looking at things that are ugly. Like, oh fuck, this scene is backlit and it's gray and there's a horrible red background, but that person is showing exactly what I'm looking for. So that's when you engage your creativity and try to make that picture work. And like now you're working. So that's the joy I find in projects, is that it forces me to engage the photographic muscle. Instead of finding something that is already a perfect picture and click, I find something that is a perfect block in my story, and I'm gonna turn it into a pleasant picture. I think that's it for this trip. Not too crowded. I missed the kid when he was. See, there's always one you could get better.
Neste stopp, Bygdøynes. The next stop is Bygdøynes. Disembark for the Fram, Kon-Tiki and the Maritime Museum.